Hello everyone, Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching. I have another Monday quarterback video for you. I'm going to play this video and talk about things that are going on, to better explain what's going on, and talk about things that I think that are being done right and or done wrong. Without further ado, here we go.
Hello, I'm Sergeant Phil Krinsky with the Phoenix Police Department's Public Affairs Bureau. The information, audio, video, and pictures you're about to see are intended to provide details as we currently understand 32nd and Glen Rosa Avenues when a community could be disturbing to some people. Viewer discretion is advised. This incident began in the area of 32nd and Glen Rosa Avenues when a community member called 911. The caller told 911 operators that a man was shot in the head. The suspects were located by officers who gave chase, which resulted in an officer-involved shooting near 21st and Turney Avenues. The caller indicated his friend was shot by 5 black males who left in a white vehicle. Here are portions of the initial 911 call.
Phoenix 911, what's your emergency?
Yes, I heard somebody, I think he got shot or stabbed right in front of my house.
What's your address?
Yeah. Hold on.
Okay. And what is he bleeding from?
His head. But yeah, they shot him with a gun.
Did he say where this happened at?
Right in front of the house.
Okay, did you hear the shots or see anyone that did it?
I think my friend did. Huh? Oh, shit. Yeah.
Okay. Let him know that I'm getting help started. Okay, is he able to talk, or is he looking really bad?
No, 5 black guys. They were saying there was 5 black guys. They were wearing masks. They came to start.
Were they on foot or in a vehicle?
On foot.
And how many people?
There were 5.
As a 2-person patrol team arrived on scene, witnesses pointed at a white vehicle driving by and told the officers the suspects were in that car. Officers followed the car to the area of 31st Avenue and Campbell Road, where they attempted to pull it over. The vehicle did not stop, so the officers turned on their lights and siren and went into pursuit. Here's the body-worn camera video from the officer in the passenger seat.
They still there?
Okay. 913, should they just point it out ourselves?
Okay, so before we go any further, these officers are knowingly responding to a call where a person has been reported to be shot in the head with a gun. That alone dictates that you get a long gun out for that type of call. This is one of my biggest chief complaints when it comes to these videos. Officers knowingly responding to shots fired, people been shot, etc., and they neglect to get their rifle out. So I know some people will be like, well, they're still in the car, they haven't got out yet, they didn't have time to get it out. That's not a strong excuse, and you should not be waiting to stop your car on scene to get your rifle out. In my opinion, your rifle should already be out and ready so that when you park your car on scene and dismount, you've got it there on you, ready to go. So how do you do this? Well, it depends on how your vehicle is configured, like where the rifle is kept. So some vehicles, the rifle is up in the cab in a rifle mount. Other vehicles, it's kept in the trunk or the cargo hold of the vehicle. So, if it's in the trunk or cargo hold, you're going to have to stop the car, right? Like, I don't know anybody who can continue driving, get out of the car, go to the trunk, get shit out, and then get back in the driver's seat and everything be okay. There might be some wild-ass stunt driver who could pull that off on a closed course, but real world, that's not happening. So you're going to have to stop that car. And where do you stop that car? As soon as you get the call, in my opinion, you get the call, you hear the address get called out, then you stop, you get out, you grab the rifle, go sit back in the driver's seat, throw the sling around your neck, danger that bitch up, get it ready for the fight, and then proceed to the call. If the gun is, or the rifle is in the cab, you could still do the same thing. Stop, dismount it from its holding device, sling around neck, danger it up, and proceed to call. Or if you think that you're able to do it while driving, you could still be driving, reach over, hit the magnetic disconnect button, take the rifle out of its carrier, droop the sling around the neck, and then charge it all while driving and using your knee to help stabilize the wheel as you're driving. Like, some people can already basically do that while going to places. Both hands or one hand may be needed to do something or get another hand out, and sometimes people find themselves using that knee to stabilize the steering wheel. It's not recommended. It's not, especially at faster speeds. That's why I think that to be totally safe, it's recommended that you just stop the vehicle, get the thing out, put the sling around the neck, charge it up, and then go. That way, when you get on scene, you are able to dismount from that vehicle with a rifle on you that is already charged and ready to go. Whereas if you do not do that, then when you get on scene, you're going to have to go through those motions getting that gun out. You're going to have to hit the magnetic disconnect, work it out of the storage device that it's in, charge it, activate the sight if it's not something that you keep turned on all the time. Those are multiple steps of a process that can take, although it doesn't take forever to do it, it does take some time to do it. And if you roll up on a scene somewhere and you immediately dismount the vehicle and boom, shit pops off, you may not have time to get that rifle out and perform those steps to get that rifle into the fight. May not have that ability to do it at all. So that's why I think that stopping before you ever get to the scene and getting it out and charging it is the best thing to do. You take those steps before you get there. Then when you get there, it's ready to go. So, assuming that this car has a rifle in it, which I don't know if it does or not. I don't know anything about Phoenix Police other than what they show in their videos. I would suspect that most likely they have a long gun of some sort in there, but I don't know that for sure. If they do have a rifle or even a shotgun in this car, then the passenger is wrong for not having that thing out and ready. So when they dismount the vehicle, put it into play. For sure, if it's a two-man car, for sure, the passenger should be the one having that long gun out and ready. 100%. If it's a one-man car, then yeah, you should still obviously be stopping and getting it out and everything. But you got a two-man car, I mean, that's perfect. Perfect for the passenger to have that out and ready. All right, moving on.
Vehicle. It's going to be a white sedan. We'll be traveling eastbound. We're trying to get up behind it. We need an additional unit to go check out the vehicle. It's going to be a white.
So check her hands out. She's got gloves on. So that means that she had the forethought before they ever arrived on scene to put those gloves on. They know that a person's been shot, a person's bleeding. You're going to need to have body substance isolation. You need to have your gloves on, your PPE, personal protective equipment. So I like that she's thinking ahead and having those gloves on so that when they get out, they can immediately go hands-on with this person if they need to. I just wish that she would have had the forethought to get the long gun out and ready.
We'll be traveling eastbound. We're trying to get up behind it. We need an additional unit to go check on the victim. We're able to take contact.
All right. So she said that they need another unit to go to the victim because they're not able to make contact. This is something that I suspect that some people would have a hard time wrapping their head around. They may be thinking, the person's sitting there bleeding. Why are you leaving them? Blah, blah, blah. I don't see a problem with this being done. But like I said, I could see other people potentially having a problem with this. Or at least having some difficulty understanding and accepting what's going on. In another type of scenario, like an active shooter scenario where a person's in a building, like a Columbine thing, you know, you got someone in the building walking around actively trying to kill and or killing people. In that kind of scenario, I think some people would be more understanding that if a officer came across someone who was bleeding but could still hear gunshots down the hall, that they would be okay with that officer leaving that person while they're bleeding and then go after the threat where the gunshots are being fired. That's an easier one to visualize and accept. This one, to me, is really no different. The only thing that makes it different is they're not shooting other people. They've shot one person, but they're not shooting other people. Could they shoot again? Yeah, most definitely. Why are they coming back to the scene? I don't know. They might be coming back to see if they did the job right. They may be coming back to see if the friends are there and get them too. So they may have the intentions of shooting more people. So yeah, I think it's perfectly acceptable that the officers basically left the victim laying there bleeding and then went after the bad guys. Because they're still a threat. They're still a danger. They shot one person, they could shoot another.
Suspect vehicle in Keystone. It's going to be approaching 27th Avenue. It's going to be a white Chevy. One young Adam, 8 Robert Henry. Attempted to light it up. It's occupied by approximately 5 people.
The pursuit continued into an apartment complex in the area of 21st Avenue and Turney Avenue. The vehicle stopped and the passengers in the back seat got out. The car took off again and crashed into a parked car. The driver and front seat passenger got out and took off running. The officers chased the two males through the complex. One of the males then climbed a block wall, and that is when the officer-involved shooting occurs. Here's the body-worn camera from both officers.
Bail out. We had 3 subjects take off. We're still in pursuit of the vehicle. Back through the parking lot. 3 black males covered in masks. Vehicle stopping.
So 3 people have already bailed out of the vehicle and took off running. But there's still others in the car, and the car is still leaving the scene. That's one of those moments where, you know, it's like, boom, the rabbit's off, and, you know, the doggy brain takes over and it's like, let's go chase the rabbit. And that could be their intentions. They could be letting the 3 passengers in the back bail out of the vehicle to take off, and they have nothing on them. They're clean as a whistle. But they do that they could be doing that with the intention that the officers will take the bait and go chase them, while the driver and the other person have all the evidence and they continue around the block out of camera view of the dash cam and then ditch stuff elsewhere. Or they know that if they split up, it's harder to catch them. And it does make it harder when that happens. People bail out on foot, and then the vehicle itself. All these criminals know whether or not an agency has a no pursuit policy, right? Like, they hear about, you know, their friend's friend. They hear about people who get chased by the police, and then all of a sudden the fucking lights and siren turn off and the cop car stops following them. Like, they know that those policies exist, and they know where they exist. So some of them will do this shit. They'll let people out of the car and run, and the car will continue to go, and they know that at some point, most likely, that the pursuit will be terminated, or they think that it's going to be terminated. Now, in a case like this, where it's, potential attempted murder, I don't know what their policies are. I'd say most likely the shift supervisor is not going to say terminate pursuit. I don't know. He could, for all I know. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what their policies are, but I kind of doubt it, though. But they don't know those nuances. They don't know the intricacies of policies and procedures and stuff like that. It's just a blanket knowledge of the fact that it exists. And really, that's how they are with every law. It fucking cracks me up when these motherfuckers say, I know my rights. I know them. Motherfucker, you don't know shit. You couldn't tell me what the 7th fucking amendment is. And sometimes I'll ask them. I'll ask them one of those, obscure, lesser known things. And they have a blank stare on their fucking face. They have no fucking idea what you're talking about. But they know in general that some things do exist. And, for example, pursuit policies. There was I forget what state it was, but it wasn't too long. It was this year, 2022. A guy, I don't forget what the circumstances were, but he did something, and police started chasing him, and they wouldn't stop. They kept going and going and going. And the guy, no shit, fucking called 911 and bitched to the dispatchers that the police were violating the no pursuit policy by continuing to chase him. Like, who the fuck does that, right? Like, that sounds like some made up shit that would be in a movie, but it fucking happened. And like I said, they know that these policies exist in some places, and all they gotta do is drive long enough, and those blue lights are going to turn off, and then they'll stop following them. But anyway, moving on.
In the car.
Bail out. We had about 3 subjects take off. We're still in pursuit of the vehicle. We're back through the parking lot. 3 black males covered in masks. Vehicle stopping.
Hands up!
Holy fuck. I need that. Let's back that shit up.
Vehicle stopping.
Hands up!
Like, how the fuck did it happen?
Hands up!
Fucking dropped his goddamn gun. Better be glad that didn't happen with these motherfuckers starting a gunfight. Holy shit. Like, this makes me think about the FBI Miami shootout back in the 80s, where they went after the bank robbers and bank robbers / armored truck robbers. One of the agents, during this, while they were pursuing the people, they took their gun out of their holster and had it laying on the seat. That way, in their mind, they said in their mind, it would be quicker and easier to grab in the gunfight if it were to happen, which it did happen. They ended up crashing, and one agent, well, I think they were ramming the vehicles before they crashed. Yeah, they were ramming the vehicles, and they ended up crashing. But during this whole process, the agent thought that because his door had flew open, that his gun had went flying out the car. And so when they come to a stop, he does not have his primary gun. So he has to go to his backup gun. Lo and behold, that officer's gun was actually wedged. I think it was actually wedged between the seats or something like that. He just didn't recognize that it was there. So I don't know if this officer was having his gun out so that he could more quickly grab it or something like that, or if in the process of him getting out of the car, he lifted the gun up out of the holster and for some crazy odd reasoning lost grip of that gun and it fell to the ground. One of the two has to be going on. Which one it is, I don't know. I hope it's not number one. I hope he did not take his gun out of the holster and have it like under his leg or some crazy shit in hopes that, you know, if the thing happens, he's going to be able to get to it quicker. Because that's if you got that mindset, you're dead wrong. Anything could happen as far as, you know, vehicle coming to sudden stop, wrecking, whatever, and that gun becoming dislodged and flying down into the floorboard, going in between the seat and the center console and being stuck down in there, or going in between the driver B-side post and the seat and getting stuck in there, or as you're getting out, it goes sliding, clattering across the fucking ground, or because it's not in a holster and you're trying to tuck it under your leg or do something stupid with it, something can actuate the trigger and make the thing go off when it doesn't need to be going off. If your gun is not in your hand, it needs to be in your holster. That is the best place for your gun to be other than your hands. Back this up. See it again.
Hands up!
Fucking shit.
Black belt, gray hoodie, black coat.
So it's hard to see. Does this say fucking Olight on the side? That does say fuck. What the fuck? Oh, that pisses me off. All right, I'll get into this shit here in a second. I'm pretty sure that says Olight. That don't look like no fucking Surefire symbol or Streamlight. So it's kind of hard to see in the camera itself with all the jumping and moving around, but the guys are right there in front of him, and you can see. I'll back it up some. Here they are on the sidewalk right there. So they got a good distance on them. There's a good lead. You see him, he started to aim. That does say Olight. What the fuck? You see him starting to cross the fence here. Back that up. He almost got him. Almost got him. So there he is. There's his legs, right? There's his butt, torso. Watch around this area right in there. You'll see the round impact the wall. Yeah, he almost got one of those legs. Almost. Damn, he was so close. If he'd just been up by a few more inches, he would have popped that dude.
Gray hoodie, black coat. Jumps into a backyard, got an 8.
Surveillance.
Jumps into a backyard, got an 8.
And that looks like his bullet impact right there.
Jumps into a backyard, got an 8.
Now, he does not continue to pursue. Why? Because that is not tactically sound. There was too much of a gap between him and the bad guy for this guy to fucking scale that wall and go over. and go get them. There's a good possibility that when that dude cleared that fence and he knew he got shot at, that he could have posted up waiting for that officer to come over. And the minute the officer would have jumped up and got a perch up here with his arms up and ready to hoist on over, dude could have just lined sights up on officer and fucking fired away. And there's not a damn thing this officer would have been able to do except fucking take those hits and fall back down and potentially die. So it would not have been in his best judgment to, or his best interest to jump that wall. Just way too much risk. Now, if he was way closer, maybe I could see the justification in doing that. But there was just so much distance between him and the bad guy that by the time he got to this wall, old bad guy could have been set up just waiting, like a game of fucking whack-a-mole. Like you're anticipating that mole coming out of that hole, and the minute it pops his head up, pop, got the motherfucker, right? He's good. Like, he's got the right mindset. Like, do not become the whack-a-mole. Don't become the mole. Don't get whacked, right? So he's got a great mindset on that. I just wish he had a better mindset on choosing better fucking equipment. Oh, this is so infuriating to see a police officer using a shitty ass fucking Olight. It's fucking blasphemy. So when it comes to weapon-mounted lights, my recommendations are Surefire, Streamlight, Mod Light, Cloud Defensive. That's it. Just those four. And for me personally, out of those four, Surefire is probably going to be my first pick. Surefire has been in the game longer, and Surefire is the one who has DoD contracts. And there is a reason why they're chosen for those contracts. Their products are battle proven. They make good stuff. Stuff you can fucking blow up and it keeps working. Streamlight is good, but it's not as good as Surefire, in my opinion. Now, the reason why you see so many cops use Streamlight is because Streamlight is cheaper than Surefire. Surefire has a higher price tag on their stuff. So within law enforcement, you will mostly see Surefire or Streamlight. And out of those two, in some places, you'll most likely see a Streamlight, especially if it's an officer having to buy his own shit. It's easier for them to eat the cost of a Streamlight than it is a Surefire. Aside from those two, you have Mod Light and Cloud Defensive that really, I think that their rifle lights are where they really shine, pun intended. They got, their handheld lights, and Mod Light has the pistol light. Yeah, it's got great candela, good throw, good tight beam on it, but I think where they really shine, pun intended, is their rifle lights. I think that Mod Light and Cloud Defensive have a really good competitive product compared to the Surefire products. But when it comes to pistol lights and handheld lights, I'm going to recommend that Surefire or Streamlight be the two contenders there that you choose from. Olight, although they do have lights that pack a pretty good amount of lumens, and their price point is way lower, there is a reason why you do not see Navy SEALs using Olights on their guns. There's a reason why you don't see Green Berets, Delta Force guys, all the top fucking dudes. There's a reason why you do not see industry leaders, industry instructors from big name schools using Olight products. They're just not proven to be fucking trustworthy. I'm not saying that they're a shady company or anything like that. It's just that their product has not proven itself to be a reliable product in the way that Surefire has proven their products. Surefire products have been involved in fucking IED blasts, roadside bombs, and this shit still works after being blown up. Thousands of rounds fired in training through guns with lights attached to them, and not a failure with those lights. Lights having hundreds, if not thousands of rounds on them, and just the rough abuse of them being used in a class, and they still work. Olight, I don't know if they can say that their lights have been through those rigors and still work. I've heard a lot of people, a lot of gun guys who wanted to save a buck go to Olight, and they end up saying it fucking broke, it stopped working, whatever. I don't hear that very often from anyone talking about Surefire or Streamlight. Does their shit break? Yeah, it breaks. Everything fucking breaks. I don't give a fuck what it is, how much money you paid for it, what it's made out of. Everything man-made is going to break at some point. But the frequency in which stuff breaks, that's where it matters. And Olight, their stuff breaks more. So I know, working law enforcement, working security, the fucking pay scale is not that great. Like, there's a reason why cops, by and large, do not all drive around in fucking Corvettes. Right? The fucking money just ain't there. So, when you're forced to have to buy your own shit, yeah, it can be very tempting to go for that cheaper priced thing. But don't do it. Don't do it. That is life safety equipment. Would you skimp out on smoke detectors? Would you skimp out on a fire detector? Or I'm sorry, a fire extinguisher for your house? No. You want the good shit. You don't want the fucking cheap shit made in China. Which I don't know if Olight's made in China or not, but you get what I'm saying. Like, you don't want the fucking cheap shit that's going to have a determining factor in you fucking living or not. You want the good stuff. The good stuff. Anyway, moving on.
Surveillance footage was obtained from the apartments that captures the two males running from the officers. One of the males has a firearm in his left hand. Here's the footage from two different cameras.
That motherfucker look like he's floating. Holy shit, it really does. It looks like he's fucking floating midair, like he's just fucking a ghost. Like he's fucking possessed. And those dudes are running pretty good too. Look at these officers. Look how fast he's able to move. I mean, he's able to move so fast, he's fucking floating. Now look at these officers. They're not running as fast. Why is that? Well, they got a bunch of shit they have to carry around while they run. It is the way you run with just gym shorts on and a t-shirt is way different than how you can run with a fucking gun belt, a vest, and your gun belt and vest loaded down with a bunch of shit. You just don't run the same. You run different and you run a little bit slower. So, I mean, it's not an attack on these guys, right? Like, I mean, they're having to carry like 20 extra pounds of shit on their body. Between the vest, the belt, the uniform, the footwear, depending on what kind of footwear they got. All this stuff is just extra weight that weighs you down. And unfortunately, that's how some of these dudes fucking get away, man. Like, they gotta wear all this shit. They ain't gotta wear a fucking weight vest on them. And some of them, because they don't have fucking jobs, all they do is fucking deal drugs and live off welfare. but they love playing basketball. They fucking play basketball all goddamn day. Some of them do. Like, they'll play that shit from sun up to sun down, and even after sun goes down. So some of these street guys, they got some good endurance. They got some good fucking cardio. They really do. And it's sad that they can get to that I wouldn't say peak physical fitness, but they can get that to that physical level, and yet they still want to stay at the bottom being a piece of shit fucking drug dealer or some fucking scum ass fucking gang member. Like, I don't know. It's kind of infuriating in a way that they could be so much more, but they choose to be pieces of shit. So aside from the officers having to carry extra gear, you also have to think that not all officers can go hit the gym as much as they want. You know, the overtime in that industry can be atrocious in some places. There's some places where it's just nonstop. Like, the overtime is basically like a regularly scheduled work day. That's how it's come. It's not like every once in a while, oh, you know, Jimmy called in, we got someone got to have someone stay over for a couple hours, or oh, we got this overtime gig on this day, who wants to work it? No, like, they're so short-staffed that overtime is every fucking day. Like, you work, let's say people work a normal 8-hour shift and they work 5 days a week, or supposed to work 5 days a week to get that 40 hours. Their normal work schedule is a 6-day work schedule. Like, that overtime is built in their schedule as a regular work day. There is I don't know if they're still doing it, but at one time, the Dallas Police Department was renting RVs to put in the back of their station, in the back parking lot, for officers who lived outside the city or so far away from the city who would have a long drive home. They were renting those RVs and letting officers stay there and sleep there at the station because there was so much overtime on a shift that they didn't want to run the risk of officers being so goddamn tired that they were falling asleep driving home, or to prevent people from burning out and quitting. They put those RVs in there so that they could actually get some amount of rest after shift. Now, trying to do that to prevent burnout, if you're at the goddamn point where you're having to rent RVs so your officers can sleep in them because there's so much overtime, that's not going to prevent burnout. If you've gotten to the point where you're renting RVs, that's the point where you've reached burnout mode. Like, people are going to start quitting. People do not want to work overtime. There's some people who love overtime, and the only reason they love it is because they live beyond their means and they need that money. Or there's some people who are just workaholics. They just want to fucking do shit. You know, they want to stay active or whatever. The rest of us, man, like, fuck overtime. Like, I hate overtime. I fucking hate it with a passion. Anyway, what I was getting at was the overtime can be fucking shitty. Like, you're working a whole lot, and if you got a family, like, do you want to spend your only few hours off shift at a gym, or do you want to spend them with your family? Well, for a lot of people, they want to spend it with their family. Because when you get off work, let's say you work a normal day shift. Not all cops get to work day shift. They got to work second shift and night shift. So, your family, your kids, they're going to be mostly probably operating off a day shift schedule. So if you even work day shift, then when you get home in the afternoon, you only got but a few hours or so with your kids before they got to go to sleep early enough to be able to go to school the next day. And, you know, you got to be able to go to sleep to get ready for work the next day, and your spouse has to go to sleep to get ready for work the next day. That's not a whole lot of time to spend with family. It's really not. So what would you rather do? Spend those few hours with the family, or spend those few hours at the gym, then come home and everyone's getting ready for bed or already in bed? If you work second shift, that might be a little bit easier for you to justify getting off work, because you get off work at midnight, right? Like, everyone else is going to be asleep by the time you get home. So what's it matter if you go to the gym after work? Night shift people. Well, if you go home in the morning, then you get to see your family for a little bit, maybe before they're off to start the day. And if you go to the gym right after work, then you won't see them in the morning, and then you probably won't see them for very long in the afternoon when you wake up and then have to start getting ready for work. So naturally, a lot of people choose spend time with family. It's only here in Kentucky, to be a peace officer, you got to be POP certified. And to get hired, you have to be able to do, so many push-ups, so many sit-ups, jumping jacks, or not jumping jacks, sit-ups, pull-ups, bench press a certain percentage of your weight, and do a sprint and a run. So you do that to get hired, and then once you're hired, you never have to fucking do that shit again. You never have to prove that you can physically do that. That's only for getting hired. So it's funny sometimes when I look back at pictures of people when they first started, and they're like, goddamn, army recruit looking physique, like they're fucking great looking body, good shape, whatever. And then a few years in, they start to bloat. they start to fucking balloon up. Well before you get to the normal age where you start getting puffy, in your 30s. So and that's because of the job. It really is. You're on the road, you're on the go all the fucking time. Sometimes you're having to be forced to eat fast food. It's your breaks, depending on where you're at, you may not even get a fucking break. Like, you may not even get a lunch break. It may be call to call to call to call to call to call to call. And in between those calls, you might have to go get yourself a cheeseburger at McDonald's or fucking Rally's and eat that shit en route to another call. If you try to meal prep or anything like that, you got to meal prep in a way that, you may have to keep that stuff in the car for the whole shift. And so you can't have something that's going to spoil within, a few hours of it being in the car, or, not being good within the car after that amount of time, whatever. Because sometimes, due to the call volume and the distance being away from the station, you may not have the luxury of going back to the station to use the microwave and sit in the break room and have a lunch break. You may have to eat in the field, so to speak. So there's some people who can do the meal prepping the right way, but that in of itself requires, of course, more time at home, taken away from other time from doing other things, etc. And then there's just the genetics in it. Like, some people are just not genetically predisposed to be, fucking goddamn bodybuilders. There's some people that they got the genetics for it. Like, there's some people who could eat 20 fucking cheeseburgers and 10 milkshakes and never gain a pound. There are some of us who look at fucking shit like that and we gain weight. So, yeah. They got a lot of shit they got to carry around, and they may not be in the best physical condition because the job pretty much limits them on being at a good peak physical condition. Now, with that being said, there's going to be somebody who probably going to comment and be like, that just sounds like excuses. You can get to the gym, blah, blah, blah. Like, I remember making I forget what page it was. I made a comment somewhere. I think it was on Instagram. It was talking about fitness. And I brought up those things. Like, some people just, like, you got to choose between the gym and the family. Like, obviously, you got small kids, you want to fucking be there with them, They're only going to be a small kid once in their fucking life. And there's a few people chiming in like, you're just making excuses, blah, 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 blah. You can make, you're going to make a commitment to your life, go to the gym, some bullshit like that. I don't know. But those people, I guarantee you, those people who spend all their fucking time in the gym do not have a healthy relationship with their spouse. They don't have a healthy relationship with their kids. How the fuck can you have a healthy relationship with people when you're never fucking home? How? Maybe during the summer when the kids aren't having to go to school all the fucking time, maybe then you can get more hours in with the kids. I don't know. Moving on.
The two males were later found in the area uninjured. Another man was located in the area but was later released. The rear passengers were not located. The victim from the initial call was treated at the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. No other community members or officers were injured. A firearm was located in the alley on the other side of the wall where the officer-involved shooting occurred.
So that doesn't. That's not a block. I don't know for sure what that is. Might be a Springfield maybe, or is it Sigma? Maybe, I think it might be Sigma. Sigma maybe, I don't know. It's not a block. I know that. So these dudes who did the shooting, I wish they would have provided more information on them, like whether or not they're convicted felons, what their criminal history is, who they are, for number one. That's one thing I've noticed about Phoenix police. They don't fucking tell you who the criminals are. To me, that seems like some liberal kind of bullshit policy in place. You too. Thank you. Try not to. So I'm in my patrol car doing this video. Someone came up and said happy Thanksgiving. Where's that at? Oh, the Phoenix police. So that kind of tells me that there's probably some bullshit liberal policy in place where you can't disenfranchise the people, blah 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 blah. Unfortunately, that kind of bullshit mindset exists in some places within law enforcement. Personally, I think that they should be telling the community who these people are, like who was arrested, who's involved in all this, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Even if they can't prove that they were the ones who shot at them, like you can obviously prove that they ran from the police. That in and of itself needs to be something the public should be made aware of. People need to know what these people look like. They need to see their faces. They need to know their names. Because the community should be making a collaborative effort in shunning these people. Making life suck for them. Teaching them a lesson. Hey, a life of crime is not something that you want to do. Oh, you want to be a fucking ghetto-ass gangbanger? Okay, well, you're not getting a job here. Oh, nor are you getting a job here. Oh, you're not getting an apartment here. You're not getting an apartment here. Now, of course, some people will say, well, that just perpetuates the cycle, blah, 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 blah. Okay, whatever. I sure as fuck don't want someone like this living in my neighborhood. If I lived in an apartment complex, I wouldn't want some motherfucker like this living there. If I worked somewhere, I sure, wouldn't want someone like this working there. Sure as hell wouldn't. And why do we need to support people like this who choose to take on this lifestyle? This person has a bunch of options out there. Living this fucking gangster lifestyle, they chose to do that. No one forced them into that. They chose to do it. If you want to choose to live that lifestyle and fucking start shooting at people and have the potential of rounds missing and hitting innocent victims, Well, you don't need to be welcomed in the community. Like, the community should fucking shun you and make life hard for you. Make you, encourage you to want to fucking move and get the hell out of there. Go to the next fucking town. Not much else to say about this video. If you like what you hear and see, go ahead and give me a like and a share. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and stay tuned for more Monday quarterback videos. Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching.